Now our next session, Power On, Not Burnout, Wildfires and the Fight for Climate Progress.
Let's turn our attention to Canada's evolving wildfire situation.
2023 has been declared the worst year ever for wildfires in Canada.
This country already on track to exceed the largest total amount of burned area ever recorded in a single year.
In 2023, Canada's wildfires released more carbon than every vehicle in the country, ×2.
And that is putting tens of millions under air quality alerts.
This is what my view looks like on a normal day compared to today.
Canadian wildfire smoke is so bad, it's reached all the way to Europe.
480 million tons of CO₂, literally up in smoke.
More than 6,000 fires burned a staggering 150,000 square kilometers.
2025 is on track to break that record.
It's prompting health warnings for the millions of people in the path of the smoke.
As a result of a changing climate and more destructive, difficult fires, there are a lot of people that are at risk, and we need to protect them. We need to protect their health.
It's just so hard to breathe.
Toronto is choking on wildfire smoke.
It's tough. The world is far different than it was 10, 20, 30 years ago.
We started it, and only we can stop it.
The real key difference, too, is the type of smoke. Considerable health challenges as well.
Air pollution from wildfires will only get worse. Experts say more money for fire prevention is needed.
Our people are left alone to fight this fire. That should not be in Canada.
We're going to lose communities, so we'll have a mass casualty event.
We fought hard for decades, switching to EVs, greening up our buildings, investing in clean tech. But one season of wildfires set us back 30 years. We can't keep treating wildfires as a side effect of climate change. They are the crisis.
As temperatures rise and drought conditions increase, Canada's boreal forests are getting drier and more susceptible to wildfires.
We're seeing hotter summers. Statisticians are telling us that.
Warm and dry conditions serve as the perfect fuel for wildfires to ignite and spread rapidly.
It's a combination of weather. It's a combination of where we've built and decided we are going to live.
The days of old school forestry management are in the past. High-tech carbon defense is our future, the only approach to stop the climate catastrophe.
When you have hundreds, if not thousands, of people in the path of a wind-driven fire, your only chance at slowing down or stopping these fires is with speed and force.
Aerial firefighting is more important than ever. Day and night.
Firefighters never give up, and they're always trying to make a positive impact, especially when people are in need.
Don't let another summer erase our future. Let's rebuild the climate movement from the front lines.
Time is everything. Quick response, and that is the way you're going to stop these fires.
It makes a difference, and it not only helps protect people's homes, but more importantly, it saves people's lives.
Stop the burn. Save the planet.
Please welcome to the stage our moderator, Stu Sprung, former Chief of Flight Operations, CAL FIRE.
As we know, wildfires are a cascading crisis, killing, displacing, destroying, and destabilizing communities, economies, and ecosystems alike. Each year, emissions from global wildfires erase and eclipse worldwide climate progress in emissions reductions. Fires are sending us backwards. That's why we're here. Also, wildfire smoke kills more people in the US each year than car crashes. And 85% of wildfires are human-caused, challenging the notion that wildfires are unavoidable acts of nature. To build on this discussion, we've assembled a panel of experts. Also, Midway through the session, we'll show a video highlighting a successful climate program that helped mitigate the impact of the recent LA wildfires. I'd like to introduce Wayne Coulson. He is the CEO of Coulson Aviation. Chris Anthony, the former Chief Deputy Director of CAL FIRE, and Kevin Fetterman, Division Chief, Orange County Fire Authority. I'm going to come and join these guys over here in this seat. Starting off, question for you all. Again, thank you for coming and being here for this. I'm going to move this chair around a little bit. Wayne, of all the issues surrounding how wildfires are accounted for in climate change, from emissions reporting gaps to public health impacts, which resonates most deeply with you and why?
Well, thank you, Stu, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. People ask, what are a bunch of aerial firefighting folks doing at Climate Change Week? And I think we have a lot in common, actually. And in researching prior to being here, I learned that the environmental groups spend time at the start, prior to a fire, and they're spending time at the end after we leave. But there's no dialogue with us that right in the heat of the battle, that we're the ones that actually extinguish the fires. And one of the opportunities we saw by participating here is the opportunity to share and to invite the environmental groups into what we do, which is in the heat of the battle. We do about 8,000 missions on 4 continents every year, and have 750 people in our family-owned business. And we're very proud of what we do. And we're looking for input, and we're here to learn from the environmental community, what can we do together to be more efficient for the taxpayer, for the communities, and for wildlife, and for those who we protect on a daily basis.
I think you put that really well. We're here to share, but we're also here to learn, mostly. Chris?
Thanks, Stu. So I just wanted to start by saying thank you to all of you for being willing to attend this session, and really looking forward to continuing the conversation afterwards as well. I am abundantly grateful that the issue of wildfire is starting to elevate to a national or even a global stage. And I think it's abundantly clear that wildfire is not just a Western States problem, it's not a North American problem, it is truly a global scale problem that we're seeing. And one of the questions that I had coming into Climate Week was really thinking about, do we or should we consider what we're seeing with the scale and intensity of wildfire? Is it a result of a changing climate, or should we be considering wildfire as a cause of a changing climate? Because I think the way that we answer that question actually really determines that policy envelope that we put around the wildfire issue. Another area that I've been thinking a lot about is the natural, the climate-based solutions that we put into place to sequester carbon, especially when you're looking at the amount of emissions and carbon that gets released as a result of wildfires, and in many cases erasing like decades of progress with natural climate solutions that we're putting into place, and really thinking about how we address that. And it's actually a really stunning number. In 2023, there was 8.6 gigatons of carbon dioxide released globally as a result of wildfires. So really thankful to be here today, and really looking forward to this conversation.
Thanks, Chris. When you frame it that way, it's really impactful. Kevin?
All right, well, thank you all for being here. I'm very humbled to be up here with such an esteemed panel. I think what resonates most cleanly with me is the community impact. Wildfire, they are impacting our communities. They're impacting our neighbors, our friends, our family. And there is a public health emergency that results as part of that with the smoke. For me, this week is an opportunity to engage with the climate community and find bridges with the fire service community. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. I think that focus on the effect of fires outside the perimeter that most people focus on is a big part of it as well. Wayne, what is one thing you might emphasize to the climate community about wildfires and their role in climate change?
Well, I think as we work the planet, we see that 75% of all wildfires are human caused, and that's a change. I think it's a misperception. In California, it's 95%. So when we look at the activity and our transition in our business has been fighting fires at night as well as during the day, but it's very unpredictable. It's not weather related. So I think that's a big step that we need to consider going forward, that the climate has changed to where we consider wildfire, and certainly New York City, some of the video we showed up front showed the devastation from smoke inhalation, and that's a multi-billion-dollar cost to the healthcare system, and we're losing almost 40,000 citizens a year now because of that smoke. So there's just been a big transition in the intensity where these fires are running at right now, and the challenge that the world's facing with smoke inhalation.
Yeah, I think that's why this conversation is key to bridge the disconnect on both sides, right? We're both learning and trying to make that connection.
And I think we all want the same thing. We want clean water, we want clean air. So collectively, we're all aligned in the ultimate goal.
Sir. Chris?
Yeah, so I really think about how we currently classify wildfire emissions specific to the carbon accounting frameworks that we have in place. As long as we continue to think about wildfire as a natural disaster, those emissions will continue to fall into kind of that natural disturbance kind of category. And like you said, 75% of most wildfires are human caused. In California, it's upwards of 95%. If we're really serious about meeting our net zero goals or getting as close as we can, we really have to start thinking about these human caused ignitions and those emissions that result as part of our carbon accounting framework. And this isn't unique to Canada, but in 2023, basically there were 647 megatons of wildfire emissions that were kind of moved off the books because it is considered a natural disturbance. But I think we need to start rethinking that if we want to really start addressing this problem that we're seeing that's really only growing.
I think given the opportunity to emphasize, every fire makes an impact. And as fires start to transition out of the wildfire environment into suburban and in urban structures and become urban conflagrations, I think this is that pivotal moment for us to realize and build the relationships. As I walked around the hall, it really struck me, leading with action. And I think that should be a challenge for the climate community and the fire service community to work together and lead with action and to make us a significant difference. I think us all taking away that these fires aren't inevitable. We can intercede in the chain and make a difference.
Go ahead. Thanks, Kevin. Wayne, you've witnessed how small ignitions can turn into mega fires. From your perspective, what operational changes would make the biggest difference in keeping fires small?
So, we're going to see a short video here shortly of the Quick Reaction Force, which is a fleet of super heavy lift helicopters running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And our company flew over 50% of the volume on the LA City fires. We did it very successfully. Up until 2024, we had not lost one structure in LA County, or Orange or Ventura County, so that 10 million people land base, and 350 fires extinguished. So we were going into we had an excellent record with that quick response. We were into that fire within an hour, and we had water. And that's the big transition we're seeing now, and that we want to share with everybody here to show some of the successes we've had by speed and force kill fire. And that's what we do, and we do it very successfully.
Yeah, and I think it's important to note that there are a lot of effective ways, and we understand that, to mitigate wildfire with education, vegetation management. But once that spark is going, that's what we're talking about a little bit here. How do you keep the small fires small, essentially? Thank you. Chris, we've seen that in just one severe fire season, wildfire emissions can wipe out a century of conservation gains. How do you reconcile this with the current pace and scale of natural climate solutions?
So I think most of us would probably agree that forests are some of our best carbon sinks that we have globally, and yet we're seeing fires burn through our forested landscapes in ways that we never have seen before in terms of the size, the scale, and the intensity. And the way that I think about that is kind of two negative feedback loops that occur as a result. So every time we have a large fire with a lot of emissions, it's just only going to lead to larger, more intense fires in the future. The other part of it is a lot of our landscapes. I live in Lake Tahoe as an example, but it's happening all over the West. Those forested landscapes, because they're getting incinerated, and I mean literally incinerated, there's no heat, there's no seed source for those forests to naturally regenerate anymore. And so a lot of those, that forested ecotype is being converted to a brush ecotype. And as we all know, brush does not sequester carbon nearly as effectively as a forest does. And it also changes the fire regime too, in not a good way. And then we're even seeing landscapes get converted to grass that were once forested. And so not only are we emitting more carbon into the atmosphere as a result of these fires, but we're also losing the capacity of our landscapes to sequester the carbon, right, that we're trying to take out of the atmosphere. So like these are the kinds of really significant challenges that we're currently facing as we look to address the wildfire crisis.
Thanks, Chris. I think that's such an important part of the issue. That's somewhat a double-edged sword that we're dealing with as well. Gets us on the front end and the back side. Kevin, in the 2025 LA wildfires, your crews saved neighborhoods under extraordinary conditions. I think we all saw it. What lessons would the global climate community take away from that experience?
So certainly we put a high value in the pre-fire management, defensible space, and home hardening. But once the fire starts, what we saw, and we continue to see, is that rapid, overwhelming aviation and ground response. That's what makes a difference. It's what made a difference in the LA fire event. The County of Orange had 7 different half-acre fire starts, and we were able to hold them in check because of that large aviation and ground response. I think that the takeaway there is that we need to continue and enhance that response. Interceding on the fire spread before the fires start to exponentially grow. It's the worst fire you never heard of. So I think that was a strong, pivotal lesson for us.
Thanks, Kevin. I think that is I think a lot of people, they think of the LA fires, they think of the Palisades and the Eaton, and there was 2 fires. But there was, and you're saying that was just for Orange County. That's many, many cities that had the same experience. So I think that's an important kind of piece to bring up. And then that'll bring us into, we actually have another video we'd like to share with you that talks about one of those fires that no one ever heard about and demonstrates the successful rapid aerial response. So we're going to get up and stretch our legs a little bit, go off to the side, and play the video.
When we tell people you don't hear much about us, that's because we're doing our job.
The Quick Reaction Force, the QRF, has really changed how we attack wildfire day and night.
2 minutes and we're back on the fire with 3,000 gallons. We do this round and round.
The QRF has already dropped 10 million gallons of water. That's a lot of water.
It's not only saving people's property, it's saving people's lives.
The QRF is a quick reaction force. It's a philosophy taken from the military.
How many fires that we almost got? If we'd have had one more helicopter, one more air tanker, that fire wouldn't have burnt tens of thousands of acres and burned all those homes and all those things.
We've taken 3 really large military-based helicopters, the CH-47s. They have 3,000-gallon water tanks in them. That's 6 fire engines in 1 tank. They're meant to get on a fire quick and keep most fires really small.
The world of wildfires is changing rapidly. The fires are getting hotter, they're burning more and more acreage, doing more and more damage. In the LA basin that we operate between Ventura, Orange, and LA, there's over $6 trillion of real estate.
We have so many people that live in the wildland interface and also the intermix, where homes are mixed in with the forest and the brush, or they're in communities that abut the forest or the brush.
They predicted in 2050 we were going to have $250 billion in damage in the United States. We had that in 2 days in LA County.
Your only chance at slowing down or stopping these fires is with speed and force. We're using all the tech that's available to us.
The QRF fleet has an intelligence helicopter called the S-76 that has an agency manager and a camera operator that fly day and night in active wildfire.
That sensor operator is assigned to the aircraft 24 hours a day, 365. The sensor operator focus is entirely on managing this screen, doing a variety of different applications, mapping the fire growths, infrared to see at night where the ember cast is going, all in order to push this information down to the firefighters on the ground on their phones.
We have been really pushing the envelope on the night flyings with the QRF because typically the inland winds will die down when the sun goes down and fires will lay down. In the last 4 years, 52% of the flight hours have been during the day, 48% of them at night.
There's an additional story that really hasn't been told, and that's the story of the Sunset Fire.
The Sunset Fire broke out the same time as the Palisades. It was in a densely populated area surrounded by billions of dollars of homes, infrastructure, businesses, commerce, and people.
We passed the Palisades fire to get to the Sunset Fire. We are first on scene and it was raging. They told us to go to the Hollywood Reservoir and it was really close to the fire. Fill our tank in about 60 seconds. It was maybe 3-minute turnarounds and we can do this round and round.
In that short period of time of just over 2 hours, we did not lose one structure. And the fire prediction model after the fact was indicating 942 homes and affecting 4,400 people if we hadn't had that intervention.
Later, I get back home and it really hit me. Wow, this was a big save.
People want to know, for this amount of money that's being expended, are we getting commensurate value? And I would offer that we're getting far more value than the money that's being spent. Yes, these are very expensive aircraft to operate. They're very complex tools, but at the same time, we're putting out fires and extinguishing them far faster, and well, they're far smaller than we ever have. So you may not read or see about that fire on the news, but know that that's happening.
There are a lot of people that are at risk as a result of a changing climate and longer fire seasons and more destructive, difficult fires. And we need to protect them. We need to protect their health. I think LA County Fire and the U.S. needs the QRF.
The video is a great example of how proactive fire mitigation using rapid response and large capacity aircraft can deliver real climate impact, saving lives, protecting communities, and preventing millions of tons of smoke and carbon from entering the atmosphere. Question for all. Wayne, start with you. Why is it equally critical to include rapid suppression capacity as a climate solution alongside greenhouse gas reduction?
Well, one of the things that's interesting about the Sunset Fire, we were able to actually measure the performance of the aircraft. And in what people don't know or been talked about is during that 24-hour period, there were 74 other fires lit by arsonists. And although on the daily news we were hearing about Eaton and Palisades, we were task saturated. So we were running around to multiple other fires. We able to showcase Sunset because we had intel aircraft above us, so we could see the fire prediction. One of the comments I've heard about the carbon from the helicopter. And so what we did is we ran some numbers on the amount of carbon that the helicopter generated versus the fire. It was only a 40-acre fire. Well, the carbon generated from the helicopter in 2.5 hours was 1/16 of 1% of what was released on that 40-acre fire. So when we look at the impact of these super heavy lift helicopters, big air tankers, it's an actually fraction of a percentage that saves the amount of carbon that we're emitting into the air by these devastating fires.
And that's the first time I've heard it, someone actually quantify it, and it's a stunning disparity.
I didn't make it up, Stu. We actually looked at the numbers.
Yeah. No, it's incredible. Chris?
Yeah. So my thinking on this has changed a lot. I would say, like in the last 5 or 6 years. So when I think about the use of initial attack, rapid response aircraft to keep fires small, and I have noticed a change with the number of air resources that we have in California and the capacity of those resources to be really aggressive in putting small fires out. The way that I think about it now is that ultimately it buys us time. It buys us time to get resilient landscapes, because we do not have landscapes that are resilient to wildfire in California, but we can achieve that. They are fire adapted ecosystems. And we also don't have communities that are resilient to wildfire. And so every potential large fire that we keep small, it just buys us more time. And I think one of the criticisms that I heard a lot was how much funding we put into suppression versus fire prevention. And I don't think it's a zero-sum game. I really think that we actually grossly underinvest in both. And so when I think about where those investments need to be made to achieve those resilient landscapes, those resilient communities, and keep those fires small, we have to be making investments in both of those areas if we're going to be successful. Because, quite honestly, throwing like 1 year of funding at the problem is not going to turn the needle. We really need to think about long-term investment strategies across the response spectrum as well as within the prevention spectrum as well, if we want to essentially buy ourselves out of this challenge that is not going away.
Chris, you put that really well. The concept of buying time. We say oftentimes in aerial firefighting, that's our job, is to buy time, and oftentimes we refer to that for the ground firefighters to get a grip on the fire. But you're right. We're also buying time for the environment until we can all come together and work on it as a team. Thanks. Kevin?
So, from a rapid suppression perspective, it's a operational reality that speed and force make a difference. Bringing thousands of gallons of water to the scene quickly from an aviation perspective, that gives the ground pounders, gives the boots on the ground an opportunity to get in there. And it's really a relationship between aerial operations and fire apparatus and the fire service on the ground working together. This is also an opportunity for the climate community. This is a start of a conversation, a start of a relationship to start that conversation and find ways where you can help. And I always like to have these conversations and initiate a challenge. What are you going to do on Monday to support the fire service, support fire suppression, and reduce these climate impacts?
Thank you. Another question for the group, Wayne, as we kind of wrap it up here. If the audience that came here today remembers only one thing from today, I hope you remember more than that, what should it be?
I think for us, you know, we like to invite the environmental community into the conversation with us. You know, we work around the world, and these customers we have, whether they're fire chiefs or fire commissioners, we ask them, what is the environmental support do you receive? And they're not hearing from you. And I think that's a golden opportunity for all of us to embrace this problem we have in the world of wildfire and collectively pull together and come up with a better solution than what we have right now. Because as I say, you know, we've got the climate team at the back end and the front end of what we do, but we need you in the middle with us. And I think collectively we're a lot stronger together than we are apart. And I'm certainly open arms as far as what we do and what the parts of the world that we contribute to, and certainly the communities would like to hear from all of us, I'm sure. Thank you.
Yeah, I think this is an excellent first shot on goal at a holistic approach to deal with this, with everybody kind of part of the solution. Chris?
So I actually have two things. So the first is like, I fundamentally believe that this problem is solvable. And like, we know the types of mitigations and the activities that we need to put into place across our ecosystems, our landscapes, and in our communities to drive this risk down. I fundamentally believe that, and I wouldn't be spending my time, you know, focused on these things post my career with CAL FIRE if I didn't believe that. The second is, I think that we really do need to have a conversation around accounting for human-caused wildfires and those emissions in our carbon accounting frameworks. And otherwise, I just don't see how we meet our carbon goals very, very effectively by siloing that into a different category. And I really look forward to continuing this conversation afterwards as well, and would love, you know, all your transparent feedback as well, you know, following this opportunity that we've had to talk about this before you all. Yeah.
I think the one takeaway would be for the climate community to find ways to engage with and support your local, your state, and your federal firefighters. It could be one of the most important things you do in the climate space is building those relationships and engaging.
Yeah, what I like about that too, that's immediate action. That's with in your own community or whatever, you can make those connections and maybe get, you know, immediate feedback from that effort. And that's why I think, you know, we agree, and I think we've kind of pushed forward that, you know, that we all somewhat agree that wildfire is a climate solution blind spot. That's why we're here. And that most are human-caused and preventable, and that without wildfire mitigation, climate goals will never be met as a community again. I'd like to thank you guys for coming and being a part of this. Thanks to everyone that showed up here. And we do we are on a fact-finding mission ourselves. We're learning as we're moving forward with this. So please use a QR code or go to CoulsonAviation.com. We'd love to get the feedback. If you're looking for anything, contact for the individuals, if you go to the Nest Climate Campus website, there's the ability to go directly to the speakers if you like. And so other than that, thank you very much for coming, and we look forward to talking with everybody.
Good. Thank you.